Welcome back to Applied Wisdom, Literature for Living Better.
Great to be here.
Today we're taking a deep dive into a really practical book, Peter Hollins's The Science of Self-Learning.
Yes, a good one. It's all about how to teach yourself anything, really. Learn better.
Exactly. And in today's world, constantly learning new things isn't just nice, it's almost essential, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. Whether it's for your job, a side project, or just, personal curiosity, this book gives you the tools.
And what I like is Hollins's approach. It's very direct, very actionable, based on actual cognitive science, but presented in a way anyone can grasp.
It's not dense academic stuff. It feels more like getting advice from a really knowledgeable friend who's figured out how learning actually works.
So our plan today is to pull out those core strategies, those actionable bits you can start using right away to boost your own learning.
Sounds good. Where should we start?
Well, Hollins kicks off with the mindset, right? The autodidact mindset. What's the essence of that?
It really boils down to curiosity. That's the fuel. He argues we need to tap back into that natural drive to figure things out.
Like when we were kids, always asking why.
Precisely. It's about shifting from being a passive recipient of information, like often happens in school, to being an active seeker, an explorer.
Okay, but how do you, actively cultivate curiosity if maybe it feels a bit dormant?
Well, one thing is to consciously expose yourself to new ideas. Follow little sparks of interest. Don't just dismiss something because it's not immediately relevant. Ask questions. Dig a little deeper than the surface.
So less passive scrolling, more active questioning.
Yeah. And taking ownership. That's a huge piece Hollins emphasizes. You have to see yourself as the one in charge of your learning journey.
The CEO of You Learn It, Inc.
Exactly. You set the goals, you find the resources, you track the progress. It's on you. That ownership creates buy-in.
Right. So maybe a first step for listeners. Think of one thing you're even mildly curious about. Could be anything.
Just one small thing.
And commit, say, 15 minutes this week to just explore it online or grab a book, no pressure, just follow the curiosity.
That's a great low-stakes way to start flexing that muscle.
Moving on, Hollins talks quite a bit about metacognition. Sounds complex, but what does it actually mean for learning?
It's simpler than it sounds. It just means thinking about your own thinking, being aware of how you learn.
So knowing what you know, and maybe more importantly, what you don't know yet.
Exactly that. And also understanding which learning strategies work best for you. It's self-awareness applied to learning.
He brings up planning here, using SMARTer goals. We know SMART specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. What are the E and R?
Yes. Evaluated and rewarding. Those are key additions. Evaluated means building in a way to check if you actually learned the thing.
So not just doing the task, but checking the understanding.
Right. And rewarding, acknowledging your effort. It helps build positive associations with learning.
Can you give a quick example? Say, learning basic Python coding.
Sure. A SMART goal might be complete Chapter 1 of the Python tutorial by Wednesday. A smarter goal adds, then write a simple hello world script without looking at the notes. Evaluate it. And if it works, I'll take a 30-minute break to listen to music. Rewarding.
That makes sense. It closes the loop and reinforces the habit. What about during the learning process? How does metacognition help then?
It's about monitoring your comprehension. Constantly asking yourself, does this make sense? Can I explain this simply?
That self-questioning thing.
Yes. If you can't explain it in your own words, you probably haven't fully grasped it yet. That's your cue to maybe reread or look for another explanation.
And then reflecting afterwards. Evaluating the strategies.
Definitely. After a study session, take literally 2 minutes. What worked well? Where did I struggle? Should I try a different approach next time? This helps you refine your personal learning system.
Practical step 2 for listeners. Before you next try to learn something, set one specific mini goal and decide how you'll quickly check if you got it afterwards. Maybe try explaining it out loud.
Perfect. Simple, but effective.
Now let's get into the mechanics of memory. Hollins breaks it down. What are the key stages we need to understand?
He talks about 3 main stages. Encoding, getting information in meaningfully. Storage, consolidating it. And retrieval, getting it back out.
And retrieval is key, isn't it? Not just for proving you know something, but for the learning itself.
Absolutely critical. Hollins stresses that the act of trying to retrieve information is what actually strengthens the memory. It's like walking a path in the woods. The more you walk it, the clearer the path becomes.
So testing yourself isn't just assessment, it's a learning strategy.
One of the best, actually, which leads directly to spaced repetition.
Right, the idea of reviewing things at increasing intervals. Tell us more.
Well, we naturally forget things over time, the forgetting curve. Spaced repetition fights this by having you revisit information right around the time you'd normally start forgetting it. Each review pushes the memory further into the future.
Sounds powerful. How
Yeah.
can people easily implement this?
Flashcards are a classic for a reason, especially with apps like Anki that automate the spacing. But you can do it low-tech too. Just schedule calendar reminders. Review today's notes tomorrow, then in 3 days, then a week, etc. The key is active recall. Don't just reread, force yourself to remember.
Okay, action point 3. Pick one key thing you learned today or yesterday. Set a reminder to try and recall it tomorrow without looking at your notes.
Simple. And Hollins also covers interleaving. What's that about?
Yeah, mixing up related topics or problem types during a study session instead of blocking them all together.
Right. It feels harder in the moment, counterintuitively maybe, but it leads to deeper learning because your brain has to work harder to figure out which concept or method applies.
So if learning guitar chords, maybe mix practice between C, G, and D chords rather than just drilling C for an hour straight?
Exactly. Or mixing different types of math problems. It improves your ability to discriminate and apply knowledge flexibly.
He also mentions chunking, breaking big things down.
Yeah, our working memory is limited. Chunking helps by grouping information into smaller, meaningful units, like how we remember phone numbers in chunks, not as one long string of digits.
Makes sense. So you find logical breaks in complex information.
And finally, elaboration and association, connecting new stuff to what you already know.
Building mental bridges, basically.
That's a great way to put it. Asking, how does this relate to X? Or what does this remind me of? Creates more connections, making the new information stickier and easier to find later.
So we've got the mindset, metacognition, and memory techniques. What about focus? That's a huge challenge for many of us.
Huge. Hollins debunks the myth of multitasking for learning. Our brains aren't really built for it. Deep learning requires focused attention.
Single tasking is the way to go.
Definitely. And creating an environment conducive to focus. Minimizing distractions, phone away, notifications off, maybe a dedicated workspace.
He suggests the Pomodoro technique too, right?
That's a popular one. Work in focused bursts, typically 25 minutes, then take a short break. It helps maintain concentration over longer periods without burnout.
Worth trying. Action point 4, next time you sit down to learn or work on something requiring focus, try one Pomodoro cycle. 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off. See how it feels.
Good idea. Now, all these techniques support active learning, which is another core theme.
Right, moving beyond just passively reading or watching videos.
Exactly. It's about engaging with the material, summarizing in your own words, asking critical questions, trying to connect ideas.
And the Feynman technique fits here perfectly, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The idea of explaining a concept in the simplest terms possible, as if teaching it to a child, it immediately reveals where your understanding is shaky.
So action point 5. Take something you think you understand reasonably well and try explaining it out loud, simply. Or even write it down like you're explaining it to a novice. See where you stumble.
That forces active recall and highlights gaps. Self-testing, practice problems, exercises, they all do the same thing. They force retrieval.
Hollins also talks about deliberate practice. How is that different from just, well, practicing?
Deliberate practice is highly focused, and targeted practice aims specifically at improving a skill. It involves pushing slightly beyond your current comfort zone, getting feedback either self-generated or external and refining based on that feedback.
So it's not just mindless repetition, it's purposeful and strategic effort.
Precisely. And project-based learning is a great way to integrate skills using deliberate practice. You're applying what you learn in a meaningful context.
Maybe pick a small project related to what you're learning.
Build a simple website, write a short story, analyze a data set. It makes the learning concrete.
Final stretch. What about overcoming roadblocks? Procrastination, feeling overwhelmed.
He acknowledges these are real challenges. Strategies include breaking down huge tasks into tiny, manageable steps, like just open the book, and focusing only on the most relevant resources, avoiding information overload.
And staying motivated.
Connecting back to your why is crucial. Why are you learning this? Keeping that purpose in mind helps. Also, tracking your progress, however small, provides a sense of accomplishment.
Building habits is key too, right? Making learning a regular part of your routine.
Consistency trumps intensity often. Short, regular sessions are usually more sustainable and effective than occasional marathon cramming sessions.
And underlying all of this is the importance of a growth mindset, believing you can improve with effort.
Absolutely. If you think your abilities are fixed, you're less likely to put in the effort needed to overcome challenges. Believing you can learn and grow is fundamental.
So wrapping it all up, the science of self-learning really does provide a powerful toolkit.
It really does. It empowers you to move from being a passive student to an active, effective, and importantly, independent learner.
The core message seems to be, understand how learning works, take charge, and use strategies that align with your brain's natural processes.
You got it. And you don't need to implement everything at once. Pick one or two things that resonate, maybe spaced repetition or the Feynman technique, and try incorporating them this week.
Small changes can make a big difference over time.
Definitely.
Well, this has been a fantastic breakdown. Hopefully everyone listening has picked up some valuable, actionable ideas to enhance their own learning journey.
All about applying the wisdom, right?
Exactly. Thank you for tuning in to Applied Wisdom, Literature for Living Better. Stay tuned for the next one. Like and subscribe if this helped you. It really helps the channel.